corruption down. Forward to Gauteng victory for EFF in 2019. Forward! Thank you, voters, for your patience. Welcome all of us, branches, regions, province, every other leader, the other provinces that are represented here, Northwest, Free State. I don't remember the other provincial chairperson secretaries, our convener of deployees, the SG of the EFF, Commissar Mbuyiseni, and all other CCT members that are here. Thank you to all of you. My task is simple. It's just to hand over to the Secretary General, Commissar Gardi, to do the necessary and bring us to our main program, which is the address of the Commander-in-Chief. Long live Commander-in-Chief, long live! Long live! Long live Commander-in-Chief Julius Malema, long live! Long live!
Amanda! Amanda! Thank you very much, fighters. We have got no time. We can only present to you the President, the Commander-in-Chief, the leader of the African Revolution for Economic Emancipation in Africa and the world, the Commander-in-Chief, President Julius Malema.
Amanda! Amanda! Viva EFF, viva! Tata EFF, Tata! Uza 2019, Uza! Uza 2019, Uza! Maibuye! Afrika! Umhlaba! Wethu! Umhlaba! Wethu! Thank you very much, Secretary General, our chairperson in Gauteng, our secretary of the province, leaders of the region, and our ground forces. I don't want us to waste time. We've been here the whole day. There were two cases. The first case was to declare the RIOTOUS Assemblies Act unconstitutional. Unfortunately, on that case, the lawyers of the EFF did not file the papers properly. We have since to change those lawyers because the EFF cannot be associated with mediocrity and incompetency. So we have employed the new lawyers who are going to make sure that the papers are filed properly. So for the declaration of the RIOTOUS Assemblies Act to be unconstitutional, will come back on the 12th and the 13th of December because we want those laws to be declared unconstitutional. And when we come back, we are hopeful that indeed they will be declared unconstitutional. The RIOTOUS Assemblies Act was passed in 1955, if not 1956, as a response to the Freedom Charter. So they waited for the Freedom Charter to be adopted. They passed that law, and that was the law which was used to trial a lot of our leaders at that time, including Nelson Mandela. So the ANC now uses the same law to trial us. The same law that was used by apartheid to send people to prison. They are using the same law because they are looking for anything they can find to destroy the leadership of the EFF. So we are under permanent scrutiny. They are the hawks on our case. They are all types of institutions tasked by the ANC to find every small thing to destroy the leadership of the EFF. We must not be worried about that. It comes with the territory. Politics are not for the weak. They are for those who are willing to permanently engage in a battle of ideas, because we know that that which we stand for will stand the test of time. But if you do not believe in the cause and you have got no conviction You'll be shaken every time accusations are made against you as leadership. Baetapele ba rena bo kgalema motlanthe le bopita mokaba ba re rutile gore moetapele ke kgetsi ya masepa. So o mongwe le o mongwe o tshwara masepa o no fosha moetapele ka masepa. When you are a leader, you must know gore ke wena swarisaka. O mongwe le o mongwe o no fosha mo wena. Mara ha o ka se tsebe gore ke wena swarisaka e ba o fosha ka masepa o thoma o lla gore why. So leaders must know that all types of accusations will always be there against them. So one day you wake up in the morning, there are so many things said about your leadership. You must know it is part of being leadership to be accused of certain things. So we are not worried about what is going on in this country. The issue of the land, whether we are prosecuted or not, the land is going to be expropriated without compensation. They did all these types of prosecution and persecution in an attempt to demoralize us for fighting for the land. They thought when they accused us of these things, we will go back to them to ask for forgiveness, and in exchange, we will abandon the land question. So we said we will never do that. We will fight for the land to be returned into the hands of the rightful owners. And that's exactly what we are doing. Whether they like it or not, Parliament is going to pass an amendment of the Constitution to expropriate land without compensation. When they scare people, fools like Enoch Godongwan, who's overrated in the ANC, they say that people will not have houses. It is fools who say that, because there is a difference between a house and the land. A house is built on the land. So we have nothing wrong with these buildings of theirs. But they should know that the land which they've built on belongs to us. At any time we can ask of that land because it must belong to the state. Now we are unable to expropriate even buildings that are no longer useful here in Tswane. In those buildings. Who's owning the building? Barno, some Bank of Mozambique. That bank has long closed, is no longer there. Yet you can't touch that building. Why? Because they say it belongs to certain people. If the building belongs to Mozambican bank, that's fine. The land belongs to us. And this building is no longer being used for the intended purpose. Therefore, we must drop it and get our land back and use it to benefit the people of South Africa. That's all we're talking about. We want to own the farm that is owned by Afrikaner Boers. Why? Because if a black farmer dies in that farm, and they refuse them to bury their loved ones in that farm, we shall expropriate that land and give it to those farm workers to bury their loved ones, because the white one is refusing to cooperate with the community found in that farm. So for as long as we've got no title to that land, the white Afrikaner can always tell the farm workers who have stayed in that farm for more than 40 years, you can't bury this person here. And there is very little we can do. They chase the dead people out of the farm. They chase their families out of the farm during the time of bereavement. And there's very little you can do as government because you have no access to that land. That's how we are talking about the dignity of our people. So land is dignity. That's why we want that dignity to be there even when you are dead. In Hammanskraal, there are no longer graves. They now bury people on top of each other. And next to the grave in Hammanskraal, there is an open land there called farms. When you look at that land, there are no cattle, goats or sheep grazing on that land. But there is no planting as well taking place on that land. It's just a piece of land idling. Yet the whole community of Marapiana does not have a place to bury their loved ones. Babu look about on top of each other, yet there is an open land. Why is the state not taking that land and giving it to our people and say, here it will be a graveyard for the people of Marapiana, so that you restore their dignity? That's what we are talking about. So expropriation of land and nationalizing the land does not mean madness. It means the state becomes the owner, so that if we want to do something for our people, we don't have a headache of being taken to court after court. So they know what land will do. That's why they are fighting with us. And that's why our lawyers should have taken that matter so serious, because it's an important matter that deals with restoring the dignity of our people. The revolution was established for the purpose of the land, not for voting. We never engaged in a revolution because we wanted to vote. The voting came later. The revolution was formed following the wars of dispossession, following the conquering of our people. When our people were conquered as small tribal groups, they said this conquering is successful because we are fighting as small groups. We must come together and form one umbrella body to fight for our land. But what happened after? People, the revolution got diluted. People saw the joining of the revolution as the quickest way to be closer to resources. That's how capitalism corrupted the revolution. So we must go back to the core founding principles of our revolution, the African Revolution. What is the African Revolution about? The African Revolution is about the ownership of the land and the means of production. There is no means of production without ownership of the land, because land comes with everything. The second case was the case by Zuma, where he says he's appealing the earlier judgment, where the court ordered him to pay the cost personally when we won the case against him. So Zuma must pay 10 million. He says, no, I was acting as a president, therefore I can't pay personally. So that's why we came back here. No, Zuma was late to appeal that judgment. Go court, why Zuma as a appeal kanakwela atla so late? Arno unali busy a shifted in Tloka Maya Sali president. Jano Rinar Sanjir in the whole day. Rito tell Zuma unali busy kamapai from this house to another house. We don't have time for those things. Yar Zuma una shifted the piri. No. And which is a complete lie. Zuma says, I couldn't appeal because I was shifting houses. I couldn't appeal because there was political tension in South Africa. I was dealing with that political tension with Ramaphosa to do a smooth transition. It's a lie. Because even if Zuma was shifting houses, in the shifting of houses, there is nothing that Zuma will touch. Because Zuma had to still only the bodyguard, still only the assistants. Kids only busy the shifter deal. Zuma will not even carry his own bag. So Unyaga the judge the believe only busy. I shifted the plate. But he will never do that. So that's what we are fighting with here. Zuma was busy with useless things. Ufedite hasana right yaw appealer. Utwile out of time. He must pay the 10 million personally as ordered by the court. So we are fighting that in court today. That's what lasted for long, and the judgment is reserved. Will be called to be told whether it's been granted leave to appeal that earlier judgment, which gives him an instruction to pay the legal cost personally. So we were here to deal with those issues. One is corruption, which is our cardinal pillar, that we must fight corruption, because corruption will undermine the realization of all non-negotiable cardinal pillars of the EFF. The other case was about cardinal pillar number 1. So you must know when you are here, you are doing the EFF work, which is to realize the non-negotiable 7 cardinal pillars of the EFF. You are not just passing time. So the other point I wanted to deal with, there is a story in the papers that there is a plot against Ramaphosa. It's not true. There is no plot against Ramaphosa by Zuma or by anyone. That's what all ANC presidents do when they get into office. They start lying that there is a plot against them so that they can use the state institutions to persecute those who are opposed to them. So they use the so-called plot to justify abuse of power. So there's no plot against Ramaphosa. There will never be plot against Ramaphosa. Who will plot against Ramaphosa? On which ground will you plot against Ramaphosa? Because Ramaphosa is of no threat to anyone. He has got nothing to offer. He doesn't threaten anyone. He doesn't even threaten Zuma. Zuma is doing as he wishes in the presence of Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa is very scared of Zuma to an extent that he even wants to pay his legal fees. It is us who are stopping Ramaphosa. Wow, Chavati man, don't pay for this guy. Now, these guys go and meet Ace, Supra, and Zuma in a hotel, right? And then they say it's a plot. And then Ace Magashule explains himself the whole night about how he met Zuma. They are all fools and cowards. You cannot allow the white-owned media to tell you who you should meet at what time you should meet that person. Whether Ace will meet Zuma or I meet Zuma is nobody's business. And if they were plotting against Ramaphosa, why would they meet in a hotel when Zuma has got Nkandla and wants a banker in Nkandla? They can go inside a banker and plan the plot. So how do I meet with Dalimpo in a hotel and you take us a picture with a cheap phone and the picture is not even clear, and then you call that a plot? Those are ANC members. Where they meet and discuss their own thing is none of our business. We must not be dragged into the ANC things. If they are meeting and talking about removing Ramaphosa, they must do it. Because in a democratic country, anyone can be removed as long as they do it legally and democratically. So Ramaphosa must not hear people saying they don't want him and call that a plot. That is an undemocratic response to a political contestation. That's how you build dictatorship. They all start with accusation of plot. I was accused of plot with Beki Kele and them that we plotted against Zuma in a hotel I've never been. So I know how this so-called plot starts. They say that story and then they spread it in order to victimize certain people. Ramaphosa is paranoid. Ramaphosa is misled by white monopoly capital, helped by Pravin Gordhan to abuse state institutions to fight opponents. We are going back to where we were before. It's just continuing with the same things that Zuma did. Abuse of state power to attack those they disagree with. They want to project Ramaphosa as a victim. That's why they say there is a plot even when there is a non-existing plot. There is no plot against Ramaphosa. There will never be. Ramaphosa will be removed, I can tell you now. He will not finish his term as a president of the ANC. Those ANC and Zuma people, they are working day and night to remove that guy. But I remember that guy won elections with very few votes, which demonstrates that he doesn't have the support of his own organization. So those are their own things. They must not involve state security. They must not involve the Hawks. They must not involve the NPA to settle political scores. The NPA, the state security, the Hawks must be left to fight criminals. The Hawks are used for political reasons. The Hawks are investigating me. Yes. They say I've shot a gun in East London. Too short. And they are doing that every day. Yet there were people who shot guns at Winnie Mandela's house when she passed away. There was never an investigation till today. At Mama Sibukwe's funeral, shots, people decided to shoot at that funeral. There are no investigation. But Hawks are used to chase Julius Malema. Why? Because they think we now have something on him. Yes. The Hawks are still investigating me about the issues which happened in Polokwane, in the government of Polokwane, which I was never part of. Why? The same thing that Zuma did when he arrested me is what Ramaphosa is doing. That since we can't find anything on him, let's go and investigate those things that he was accused of in Polokwane. So they are busy with that because they use state institutions to settle political scores. They use state institutions to intimidate and to silence their opponents. So Ramaphosa must know that if he wants to fight dirty like Zuma did, we will treat him the same way we have treated Jacob Zuma. Ramaphosa must know with Pravin Gordhan that we are not scared of them. So right now at that time, when we fight the bitter end. Only death will stop us from fighting. And Ramaphosa must know that if he wants to fight dirty, he will never have peace in that parliament. Anyone who abuses the state to settle political scores must know you will meet us. We are not scared of Ramaphosa. We are not scared of Pravin. Neither are we scared of politically manipulated Hawks and NPA. We have defeated them before, we will defeat them now. Because an injustice will never prevail over justice. So let's not be scared. Yes. Let me tell you, fighters, the war is coming. Yeah. Yes. This country is run by Pravin Gordhan. Pravin Gordhan is run by the Stellenbosch mafias, who are in control of South Africa's economy. And those are the most dangerous people than Zuma himself. The white monopoly capital is the one that is driving South Africa now, and they don't apologize about it. And at the face of that white monopoly capital is Pravin Gordhan. And they own a lot of minority journalists, the Indian journalists and white journalists. Not all of them, but senior Indian journalists and senior white editors are in the pockets of Pravin Gordhan. So we are confronted with the war we were confronted with in 2011 in the Youth League when we passed the resolutions which were seen to be radical. Pravin, Trevor Manuel, and Rupert combined against us. That group is regrouping again against us now. Why? Because of the radical positions on the economy. And the media will never tell the ruthless of the other side, because those people, unlike Zuma, they own the media. So you must know that from now onwards, there's going to be negative reporting about the leadership of the EFF. There's going to be possible prosecutions of the leadership of the EFF, because they must enter 2019 with a dark cloud hanging over their head. That is the plan. So if you are weak and you don't know what you are fighting, you will think that these people are telling the truth. Pravin is the most ruthless person. He doesn't start now. He did that in the 80s. In the UDF, he fought with everyone who was opposed to the agenda of the cabal, the Indian cabal in UDF. Pravin is the one that said, and the Indian cabal, they are the ones who isolated people like Peter Mokaba and who declared that Winnie Mandela is not part of them in the 80s. They've always targeted everyone who opposed the manipulation of comrades by the Indian cabal because of its proximity to resources. History is about to repeat itself. You must be ready. Unlike the ANC cowards who are not scared, they are all complaining about Pravin in the ANC. They are unable to confront him. We call him out so that he can bring the battle to us who are ready for it, who are not scared of a battle. So let's be ready. Stellenbosch wants to run this country without any disturbance. And as things stand now, the EFF is an irritation. Stellenbosch, Rupert said after 2011, when we spoke land, when he spoke the mines, he spoke for the first time after a long time. Rupert, who controls Pravin, said the ANC Youth League is like an irritating mosquito which needs a doom. That's how we got expelled in the ANC. They are doing the same thing now against the leadership of the EFF. So please, the only way to respond to this white monopoly capital, which is joined by Pravin and the cabal, the only way to fight them is to be on the ground. We must build strong branches on the ground. They must find the ground solid and ready to fight. The only way to dismantle the cabal, to defeat Pravin, to defeat Stellenbosch, is by putting the ANC under 50% here in Gauteng, so that we know that they cannot continue to manipulate the state institution. Too much powerful ANC in government is dangerous to black people. We must reduce the power of the ANC, because the ANC is controlled by white monopoly capital. Even Zuma himself was controlled by white monopoly capital. He started fighting them when they rejected his ex-wife as a possible presidential candidate. That's how they started fighting. But otherwise, all of them in the ANC, they are controlled by white monopoly capital. And we are rejecting white monopoly capital. We will never be in the pockets of white monopoly capital. The enemy of our revolution is not white people, it's white monopoly capital. You need to differentiate. Don't declare white people as enemy. They are not. The enemy is white monopoly capital. What is white monopoly capital? White monopoly capital is the owners of the means of production. What is the means of production? Is the land, the bank, the mines, the MTN mobile networks, and any other thing that is strategic in our economy. So Skabona Mutwa owner Range Rover, hey, white monopoly capital. The means of production. Everything that makes me and you breathe in South Africa, the owners of the air we breathe, those are white monopoly capitalists. You see the owner of MultiChoice, that's white monopoly capital. So everything big that is controlling any other sector in South Africa and monopolizes that sector, that is the enemy of our people. Why is it an enemy? We don't want monopoly. We want the sharing of the resources in South Africa. We want the sharing of wealth. So some white people who also do not own the land, because of privilege, they confuse themselves to be white monopoly capital even when they are not. They think that the crushing of white monopoly capital will do away with privilege, because their privilege is given by the proximity to white monopoly capital. So when you fight white monopoly capital, they immediately go into a defense mode, even when they do not own the means of production because of privilege. So one day we'll have a political school here in Tswana when the time allows. So I just thought I must share those things with you. I've not been visible for some time because I'm busy with school. I want to finish before next year, so that when we hit the elections, there is no excuse. But when I find you, I must give you a little bit of politics, because half the time you want to talk about position. Hey, who's the regional secretary? Hey, who's the councillor? Hey, ha. Here in Gauteng, we're done with those things. No more RPA, no more PPA. Now we're focusing on elections. If you want to talk about PPA outcome or RPA outcome, you are in a wrong place. We are done. All of those things are behind us now. Now we are focusing on taking power and defeating white monopoly capital. Stop the obsession with positions. There is another conference. There will always be conferences. This is not the last conference. Stop irritating us. Permanent fight for positions in the ANC. Here we are fighting for the unity of African people. We want to defeat white capital and restore the dignity of our people. Those who have been elected, they must get out of their factions and lead the whole of EFF. They must not continue to lead as if they are still in factions or still contesting. Only those who know they are not deserving these positions will continue to serve their faction. But if you know that you deserve this position, once elected, you rise above and lead everyone. The unity of the EFF is more important now than ever before. We must confront elections as a united force, because it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about African children who go to school without shoes. It's about young African women who spend most of the time not going to school because they do not have sanitary towels. Those are the people we should be worried about, not who got elected into which position. We must be worried about those who stay in the squatter camps. We must be worried about the security guards. We must be worried about the farm workers. Very important people, those ones, in the life of the EFF. If you take yourself too serious than taking the working class serious, then you are in a wrong organization. We don't want individuals in the EFF who are self-obsessed. Half the time, EFF ye thomile ke rena, so re die ke rena e thomile ko. Go tloela o tena o tla o raseditse o re o thomile EFF. Hey, ke tsentšitše tšhelete ya ka, so what? Ke mang a o kgopetše? It was a personal choice. So if you know tsena tšhelete mo nana re wa reka, as a re mo for sale away. A re mo di counter rate ya Pick n Pay, start confuse. We are not a commodity. We are human beings. We are members. We can think on our own, and no one can buy us. We will respect you not because you formed the EFF. We will respect you not because you put your own money, but because you've got ideas. Because in the EFF, we respect ideas more than the looks. You can be beautiful and handsome, but if mind is dololo, you will never get our respect. Amandla! Amandla! Ayuhule EFF, ayuhule! Tata EFF, Tata! Woza 2019, Woza! Aundo makuvi! Siyaya! Siyaya!
again next time when